Everybody wave.
Good afternoon, everyone. How many of you have been to public school? This is a very common form of education in the United States. Homeschooling has become a much more popular form of education recently. In 2007, 1.5 million students in the United States were being homeschooled. I found this statistic on Gale's opposing viewpoints. Think about what your life would be like if you had been homeschooled. Homeschooling is a much more isolated form of education, and today I'm going to talk about how homeschooling can affect children's social ability. Homeschooling can hinder children's social abilities. First, children do not get sufficient amount of social interaction. Second, children do not interact with their peers. And third, children have little social activity. My first point, children do not have sufficient amount of social interaction. An article written by Michael Romanski, he talks about the myths and truths about homeschooling. And a quote from that article says, a survey found 92% of homeschool students believe homeschool children do not receive adequate socialization. This quote is important because it shows that other students believe that they are getting the right amount of socialization in public schooling, but believe that children in homeschooling are much more socially awkward and don't have enough socialization. Another article written in 2010 by Michael S. Mary and Sharad Kirsten, they talk about the rights and liberties of children and what parents have to say about it. A quote says, there are worries that parents acting upon their own sense of entitlement will possibly infringe upon their children's interests of their children. This quote means that parents might choose one side of education over another. Parents might teach them math, science, English, and religion, but won't teach them anything about socializing or teach them anything that will help them socialize in the future. Children don't get enough socialization in homeschooling, but they especially don't get any socialization with their peers. My second point, children do not interact with their peers. One of the main reasons that parents take children out of public school is because of peer pressure and bullying. Peer pressure and bullying is something that children should face and they should not run away from. If parents allow their children to come to homeschool just because of bullying or peer pressure, they're really giving into bullying and peer pressure. An article called Restricted Liberties, Parental Choice, and Homeschooling by the same Michael Mary and Sharad Kirsten discussed homeschooling, both the positive and negative sides of homeschooling. A quote says, one might just as easily argue that having an extra parental resources in addition to what schools are able to offer, attentive teachers, lab equipment, class variety, favorable peer effects, and extracurricular activities actually are advantages for children in public schooling. Children who are being homeschooled miss out on the fourth thing I listed, favorable peer effects. Peers can actually help children grow up, and feeling involved and accepted by your peers is very important for children. Another thing in that quote that was listed was extracurricular activities. My third point states children have little social activities. I work with a woman named Debbie Delane, who was on a swim team in high school. She met a girl who was being homeschooled and thought that she was very socially awkward. As she was swimming, she did not do very well at the beginning of the school year. As this girl began to develop her relationship with her teammate, she became a lot better at her sport, her schooling, and also her confidence went up a lot. This is an example of how not only social activity affects your grades, it also affects your athletics. Another thing that homeschooling does not have are the kinds of educational perks that public schools have, like gym, art class, and music. These are all things that children have to work together to do. In every one of these classes, they learn different kinds of games and social activities that they use to teach children how to share, interact with their peers, and have respect for others. These are all important things that children in homeschooling might not learn because their parents don't have the skills to teach them these things, or they don't have the money or necessities to teach them. School is how many children learn how to be social. One thing to remember is what is specifically best for every child. Every child has their own specific needs. We have to remember what will affect every specific specific child's needs. I hope that everyone who listens to this speech today will think about what their children specifically need as they grow up. If a child is being bullied or is affected by peer pressure, they should not just be dropped out of school. They should try to face their problems. They should also work on, if children are being homeschooled, they should remember to teach their children how to be social. Homeschooling can hinder children's social abilities. First, children do not get sufficient amount of social interaction. Second, children do not interact with their peers. And third, children have little social activity.